Yeah, and I think it's stuff like just doing the minutes, right? Like, I'm just going to do these minutes. I'd say maybe even that was like what I did in 2021. Like, I did the minutes. But I'd be lying if I said, like, some of my afternoons, like, I hopped on my parents' Peloton. Like, I, turned my erg monitor off. Like, I used to do stuff like that, and that got me to a certain point. And now, like, I never do stuff like that. Like, I am dialed in. Welcome to The Other 3 Years, a show for anyone who has an Olympic-sized dream they want to turn into a reality. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of The Other 3 Years podcast. My name is Kristi Wagner, which I never say, but surprise, that's who I am. And it turns out when you record a podcast, you're supposed to introduce yourself. So I'm going to start doing that now. Hopefully it just rolls off the tongue. I'm Kristi Wagner, and welcome to my podcast.
First of her name.
First of my name. That is Ian.
Hey, everybody.
He's back for another episode. This week is going to be fun. Basically, I thought that it would be great for me to talk about qualifying for my second Olympics and give some intel into that experience. But it's hard for me to unpromptedly talk about things. It's easy for me to talk to Ian. So I thought that it would be good if he could ask me some questions that maybe both he and the rest of our listeners wanted to know the answers to. And that'll just be a great show. Before I let Ian talk more and we get into that whole conversation, I can share a few things about what's going on in training. This is my last week in Sarasota, Florida. It's been a long time. I think I left my apartment in Saratoga the day before Thanksgiving. I think early December was when I arrived in Sarasota. So it's been a while. And this is the last week training here at Nathan Benderson Park. There are literally 6 athletes left here. It's just Sophia and I and the men's 4. And I think they're leaving tomorrow. So we're going to be the last women standing, which is pretty exciting.
And you were also kind of the first women standing in December. So you're like bookending it.
We are, but well, Sophia's really bookending it. She's been here longer than anybody else, but I am a close second. Today was a little bit windy. I think this week is going to be a little bit windy, but you know what? It's going to be windy in Paris. So
it is. I was there last year and it was brutal. Sorry, I'll let you continue.
No, that's okay. Thank you for the interlude. And so, yeah, we're just doing another week of training. And then on Friday and Saturday, Sophia and I are going to drive from Sarasota to Princeton and then be in Princeton for about a month before we go over to Europe. We'll go to Erba for a week or so before going over to Lucerne for the second World Cup. And most of the team's going to be training in Princeton for that month. So that'll be really great to have all of the boats together, both the boats that are already qualified for the Olympics and the boats that still have to qualify at the final Olympic qualification regatta. So now all of the boats for both those two events are decided because the final Olympic trials took place this weekend. There was some really exciting racing and it was super fun. I had a little bit of like FOMO that I wasn't out there racing, I'm going to be honest, but it was really great. I rode my bike along all the races, cheered very loudly for my friends and teammates. It was so fun. And it's just really cool. Like, people literally became Olympians yesterday, and it was so cool to watch that happen and see how excited they were and their parents and their friends and family. It's so special and so cool. And yeah, it was really awesome. NBC did like a live coverage of it, and it felt very much like a real event. It was a real event, but it also felt like a real event, which is awesome. It's great that NBC is giving coverage to rowing, and it was really great. My parents watched the whole thing. They said it was really great coverage. So NBC, you have Wagner approval of your coverage of the U.S. Olympic rowing trials.
On the flip side, NBC, you did have potentially a wonderful commentator in Kristi Wagner sitting on the sideline the whole time. She could have been doing, blow by blow from the bike. I think there's a lot of room for development and growth. We could have a podcast, NBC broadcast partnership here. Wow. I'm just saying, post-Olympics, whatever, she could have guests with her on the bike. They could ride a tandem bike. It would be amazing. Have, dueling commentary from the tandem bike.
You know what's funny though? I told my parents, "Oh, look for me. I'm on my bike." And then I waved at them and my dad's like, "Put your hands back on the handles. Don't fall off the bike. Be careful." And then today I was talking to them and they said, "We were so nervous you were going to fall off your bike." I was like, "Okay, well, but I didn't, so it was okay." Now it's time for Ian to ask me some questions and hopefully you wrote something down in those 5 minutes and you're all ready to go. Fire away.
Yeah, if we're introducing ourselves, hi, I'm Ian Accomando, Kristi's boyfriend. This is my second time on the pod, which I'm not sure how many people are two-timers. I am. Now I'm a two-time guest. So let's make this a habit. Let's keep this rolling. Okay, well, the first thing that I want to talk about, since it's fresh in my mind, a couple of weeks ago, you did a listener question, and it was clear that a lot of the youths are listening to your show, which is not surprising because you row for Orion, which is out of Saratoga Rowing, which has a giant youth program, and you used to coach there. So you know all these people. So all these people listen. Maybe others listen as well. I don't know. However, I think that it's very clear that you're never skipping workouts. You're always crushing it. You're getting out there. You get up 5:45. You have your oatmeal toast. You get there early, you do your warm-up routine, crush the 2-hour workout, you have a little time off, do your lift, then you have lunch, and then you're working in the middle of the day, and then you go to afternoon workout, right? You're always crushing it day in, day out, crush, crush, crush. That's the life of an Olympian, right? It's very impressive. I'm very impressed by you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's the question?
The question is, given all of that, crushing of self and others 7 days a week, if you didn't take any time for yourself until the 2 weeks after the Olympics, which we've yet to plan, but I'm very excited about, that would only be every 4 years. You'd get 2 weeks off. Or maybe after the World Championships, you also give yourself some time. So what do you do in terms of small daily self-care practices to keep yourself firing on all cylinders, positive? Me, for example, I'm a bike commuter. That's my little daily dose of exercise. But today I went above and beyond because I kind of had a longer day for myself. So as you know already, but the audience doesn't, I had a mocha milkshake on my way home from JP Licks. Very delicious. Highly recommend it. But maybe you have your own self-care routines, things that just never cease to put you in a great mood and make you feel better.
I should thank you for that question, Ian. And I should explain that very early on in dating, Ian was like, I don't know why people are so bad at self-care. I'm amazing at self-care. I think I maybe am too good at self-care. Well, I do like to have dessert.
You do.
I like to just think of my whole life as self-care. In my mind, I don't want to think of, oh, I exercised a certain amount today, so I deserve a cookie. I deserve a cookie because I'm alive. And if I didn't work out, I still maybe deserve a cookie. I've tried really hard not to link exercise or success or whatever with quote unquote treats, because we also need treats when things maybe aren't going as well. So I feel very accomplished when I have goals for my day and then I achieve them. And I feel like that's a form of self-care for me. When I go to sleep at night, knowing that I've done everything I can possibly do to help me achieve my goals, that feels good. That feels as good as, acts of self-care. Mm-hmm. That being said, it's my last week in Florida. And as you know, I really like the donuts from this one donut shop. So I've already made a mental note that on Wednesday I have to go to the farmer's market to get a donut because it's my last week and I really like them.
Maybe a pretzel too.
Obviously a pretzel too. We don't want everyone to think that I'm crazy and eating tons of donuts and pretzels.
See, listeners, this is self-care 101. She was going to skip over the pretzel, but I wouldn't let her. But it's layered. It's not just the donut. It's the pretzel too. It's the experience. Going to the farmer's market. Maybe you walk around. Maybe there's a cool local jeweler. And Kristi's like, sick. I'm going to get something as well that I didn't plan on. But you know what? Last time in Florida.
Yes. And I'd say you just have to do what makes sense
Mm-hmm.
always. Like if I need something, I'm going to go and get that. Like today I hadn't packed enough food, so I went and got a bagel sandwich and it was delicious.
Oh yeah,
And
tell the people about it. No, come on, dig into the details. Why
so
this place?
this
Come
place
on.
is called Jersey Girl Bagels. It's really good because New Jersey people know how to make a good bagel. I'd say not quite as good as a New York City person, but it's a very close second. And in Sarasota, Florida, I think it's the best bagel you're going to get. And these sandwiches are like top notch. Personally, I've been into just the egg and cheese with a hash brown on a French toast bagel. So that was great. That definitely kept my spirits up after a busy morning of exercising and working.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I would even say that today we FaceTimed while I was at lunch, and I didn't just have a burrito, although I almost only just had a burrito. And then just before I walked away from the register with my delicious burrito, I picked my head up and I was like, "Oh wow, orange Fanta on the soda fountain." Yes. What is going to make this burrito better? Fanta. So I got a Fanta. That's self-care. I don't know how everyone else thinks about it. Like, I don't need to go to a spa. Although, talk about self-care. Last time I was in Florida with you, what did we do? That was amazing.
Oh, Ian got a haircut and a straight razor shave. So, and I was almost late to practice because his self-care took such a long time.
It was unreal. However,
and I had
getting the most pampered version.
I had to speak to this guy's wife. This man was getting like I don't even know what was going on.
It was a humidifier like mist for his face.
He was getting a facial, and then he got like his ears waxed and his nose hair waxed.
And his wife talked to Kristi the whole time. Like she was going to sit there and like be on Instagram and like have a relaxing hour or whatever. And now this woman was just like, "Oh my God, nice for U.S. rowing shirt. Tell me your entire story."
It was exhausting.
Not self-care.
It was the opposite of self-care for me, but that's okay. It was still fun.
It's because you're a closet introvert.
I am.
Anyways,
Okay,
so that rolls into actually another question that I had. You are leaving to go to Princeton, Mercer. So what was your favorite part of Sarasota, least favorite part?
Yes, I've been in Sarasota for a long while. There have been highs and there have been lows. I'd say performance-wise, I really started with a bang. Like my erg testing that I did when I first got here in December was really good. I was really proud of myself for that. And then I had some things going on in kind of January, February, and my performances weren't as good, but I am proud of how I handled everything. I'm very proud of how much I was able to block out the noise. Like, I think that younger Kristi going through the same experience that I went through would have really listened. I know that people were saying things, and I think I really would have gotten into that. And instead, I really just kept my head down, did what I had to do. And now, like, I'm feeling great and having performances. I think I'm going to have performances like I had in December or better. Like, and it was really hard to see the other side of things when they weren't good, but I could see it.
Yeah, you were a rock. It was insane.
I mean, anyway, I had some meltdowns, let's be honest.
That's okay. They were contained to just me and you, so that was fine. Happy to absorb. That's my job.
Yeah. But I feel like my real highlight has really been just getting to have consistent training with Sophia in the double. It's been really fun. Not every practice has been, oh, that was so amazing. But I just feel like our baseline just keeps getting better and better, and we get to grow together, which I think is really fun. You know, we're no drama. Like, we can speak to each other like adults. And if one of us, you know, if it's really windy and things are unproductive and whatever, we've had enough, like it's our second workout of the day and we don't want to, like, we can be mature enough to make decisions about, okay, maybe we should go inside to finish, or maybe this doesn't make sense, or maybe we should push through, or think about this. Like, I think I've just been really impressed with our communication and how we're sort of evolving as a crew.
Because now you're going north for a very specific reason, which is because you made the team. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're a star.
Yeah. Have you heard the Kristi is a star story?
No.
Oh my gosh. The Kristi is a star story. This is an iconic Patty Wagner moment. Okay. When I graduated from high school, as most people do, my people have graduation parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my parents wanted to have a graduation party for me. And like you said, I'm a bit of a closet introvert. And I, for some reason, did not want to have this party. Like, I just didn't, I don't know. I didn't want to have the party. And we didn't really do it. And then in like the end of August, they really wanted to do it. And I said, fine, we can have a party if you get a cake from this place in Wellesley that like makes really huge, like fancy cakes, blah, 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 big. And I said, I want it to be in the shape of a star. And I wanted to say Kristi is a star, thinking there was no way in hell that they were going to get this cake. And so we wouldn't have to have the party. Like, I thought that requesting that would deter them from having the party. But it did not.
This is the mind of an 18-year-old. Where
it did
like
not.
Now at 31, you could probably like see yourself like as a parent of a high school graduate, and you'd be like, "That's the challenge. I have to get you a star cake. Done. Like, we're definitely having the party now." Like, clearly, Patty was not going to be deterred.
Yeah. So this massive cake in the shape of a star that said Kristi is a star, and it had like a Yale banner and like rowing and a graduation
cap. Is there a picture
cap.
Of this?
Oh,
Can
there
you
is
put a picture, a link to the picture in the like show notes for this. Yeah. We need a link to the picture.
Yes, we'll include a photo somewhere. But the funny thing,
Instagram.
Yeah, we can post a picture. I'm sure Mom has one. But
That's
then they had a separate college graduation party for me, which had like a cake part 2 that was equally funny, and that one had blue frosting, and everyone was walking around with like blue mouths after it.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
classic.
That's how Kristi is a star came to be.
Kristi is a star. Okay, but we got sidetracked.
Sorry,
again.
yes.
So back to the question at hand. Now, I feel like you've covered with a lot of your previous guests, since I listened to all your podcasts, like how people have gone about making the team in the past, this year, how you made the team, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So that it's your second team, how is it hitting differently or the same that this is your second Olympic team? Like, was it a bit anticlimactic compared to 2021 when you won trials and like you knew you were going right then? Tell us, second Olympic team, compare and contrast.
Well, one, I would say it's definitely a bit anticlimactic compared to 2021, because in 2021 I did win a trial, that booked the ticket, like bing, bang, boom. That being said, I think that making the team this year has been more of like a slow burn. It just feels really cool. Cool, like, doesn't fulfill the feeling, doesn't do it justice. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I never thought that I would be in this position where so many people would believe in me and in my abilities. And it doesn't feel like it's me against the world anymore. It feels like I have support and belief, and I've taken the steps that I need to take and have the resources available to me to continue to take the steps that I need to continue to take to achieve my goals. Same as 2021, you know, we're going to World Cup 2, which we did in 2021. And I think that was like an excellent, you know, tune-up practice and like gives you an interim goal and everything. So right now, like, it doesn't feel super real because it feels like, oh yeah, we're just going to practice and preparing to go to this World Cup and everything. The other thing I'll say that I actually really do appreciate, like in 2021, because I was rowing with Jevi, we were rowing in Boston. I was living in New York, but we were training in Boston, so I was living with my parents. And I think that was a really great experience. And I think that I'm happy that I got to have that experience, like making my first Olympic team and being at, you know, quote unquote home, at their home, and getting to like share a lot of that stuff with them, because they obviously were such a big part of it and continue to be such a big part of it. And they'll be, you know, in Paris and everything. But now, I don't know, I'm obviously not at home or at my parents' home or even my home. Like, I'm on the road. And so I think that also makes it feel a little bit different, because it's not like you're not having like quote unquote celebratory dinners or anything like that. Like last week on the episode, I asked Sophia, oh, did you do anything? And she said, oh, I ate an ice cream sandwich in my car. Like
alone.
But it's just funny, like, you know,
Yeah.
And I'm also aware, because going through it last time, like there are so many things that are going to make us feel special and accomplished and everything. And then the other thing that's like you want to remember is, yes, we made the Olympic team, which is this incredible accomplishment, but like the work is in no way done, and there's still really, really big goals.
Well, like making the team wasn't the goal. And I don't want to make you sound like not humble or overly cocky or something when I say that. Like, I would hope that like making the team really wasn't anyone's goal who's putting in all this work. Like making the team is like taking the SAT. Doing well on the SAT isn't really the goal. Like getting into the college is the goal, and then going and taking advantage of college is the goal, right? And like doing well there. That you've been named, it's like, okay, great. Now I can really turn my attention completely to the thing that was the point the whole time, which is like turn the bronze medal from last summer into gold.
Yeah, I think that is true. And I think obviously we want to go as fast as we possibly can, finish as high as we possibly can. We have enormous goals. I would expect all of our competition to have the same goals. I hope that they all bring their best performance, and that my best performance is better than their best performance on the day. Like that's what sports is all about, right? Like we just watched the final of women's Final Four yesterday. Like South Carolina wanted to beat Iowa at their best. Like you want to beat Caitlin Clarke at her best.
Right.
But this is a long-winded way of saying, like, all of that being true, I think that making the Olympics is an enormous deal. You're an Olympian for life.
Yep.
And I think there's some imposter syndrome that goes into all of that. I'm sure you can like relate. I think now, like two-time Olympian, it's almost like two-time imposter syndrome, because I still just think of myself as like
Waylon Weston freshman.
Yeah, like a little, you know, I guess it's nice because I can think if I can do this, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And I think all of the people that this is their first Olympics, I hope that they're celebrating it and like recognizing the huge deal that it is, because it is
100%.
a really big deal. And there's
100%.
a very low percentage of people in the world, in the country, that are Olympians. And because we're so close to it, this is the other thing that we're so close to it. We have so many, it's like quote unquote normal to know Olympians.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not trying to like toot my own horn or think I'm awesome, but I think it is important to recognize like the magnitude of the moment and of what it is.
Yeah. Well, no, I would just say, like, just to humanize this a little bit, like the room I'm sitting in right now, I've had the O'Donovan brothers in here, Irish step dancing while my grandmother was downstairs. And I was like, I know you guys are like really awesome, but could you not Irish step dance on my grandmother's head? Like, I will go find you more Guinness. They were just like normal people, right?
Yeah.
Like all Olympians are just regular people is my point.
Yeah.
But this is their dream and they're pursuing it and they're throwing themselves into it, which is really cool. So it's like this, it is this huge thing. It's not some foregone conclusion where like, oh, she made it once, she'll make it again. Like, or for Sophia, she'd been on national team. She was just going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like she had to actually go and do it still.
I think that is an excellent point. And I will just say, I, as you know, am a big fan of Tom Brady. And I was listening to this podcast, I think coincidentally, right after the Tokyo Olympics, where he was talking about how a lot of guys retire after winning the Super Bowl because their eyes have been opened to what it takes. And they
what it takes. Yeah.
don't want to do it again.
Yeah. Yep.
In 2021, well, really like, years before that, but 2020 and 2021, like I gave everything I had to one goal and achieving something. Like it took everything. It took everything in me to come in 5th place at the Olympics.
Yep.
And so I think that also knowing that, I almost have more respect for all of the people that competed, in Tokyo and came in 4th or 5th or 7th or whatever it was. Like to give everything and come up short is like, so now I'm going to try again.
Mm-hmm.
I already tried as hard as I could.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. From the outside, sometimes people can assume, oh, well, obviously, like they've been on the team, they've been in this boat, they've whatever, so it must be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whew, it's not
I think this
easy.
is true. And I think this is true at every level, right? Like, not to criticize my own team, but like we had a good year last year with the Harvard lightweights, and like we had a good fall. We won the head of the Charles for the 2nd year in a row. For the freshmen, I can only imagine it's a little confusing where you're like, oh, we just do well here, And it's like, no. The guys who are in that boat crushing it are crushing themselves day in and day out. Like our vice captain was in the other day being like, I hope everyone in the lower boats knows, like, we're psychos. In class, we're watching rowing video, and I'm like, well, you should maybe pay attention to class.
Maybe you
like,
should just go to class.
Yeah, go to class. And they're like, no, it's spring season. Like, we're watching the video. We're doing the extra workouts. We're not skipping any. We're pulling really hard out there. And you're like, I know. That's why you're in the varsity. Good job.
Yeah.
But like, to get to the top, you have to do all the work. To stay up there, you have to keep doing all the work, which I think is your point, Tom Brady's point. And you're just like, you think about a 4-year cycle after getting to the Olympics, how hard you worked, and you're like, oh my God, I have to do this for 4 more years.
Yeah. And I think it's stuff like just doing the minutes, right? Like I'm just going to do these minutes. And then I'd say maybe even that was like what I did in 2021. Like I did the minutes, but I'd be lying if I said like some of my afternoons, like I hopped on my parents' Peloton. Like I, turned my erg monitor off. Like I used to do stuff like that, and that got me to a certain point. And now like I never do stuff like that. Like I am dialed in, like I'm pulling erg splits. Like I'm in my zones always. Like even when I feel like crap, I'm like, I'm not going to be out work today. It's stuff like that nobody sees. Like today, nobody saw. I was scared of the Sarasota crew children inhabiting the tent. So I was in the tower, like nobody was there. And even though nobody was there, I'm not doing things because I'm scared a coach is going to come in and look at my erg screen or a teammate. I'm not scared. I'm doing things because I know what my goals are. And I'd say like that's been the flip switch of this cycle.
Yeah. Like you're just taking true ownership of it rather than being reactionary to like whatever some coach is like, hey, like this is the minutes that champions do. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like now you're like, oh, that is definitely the minutes champions do. Maybe even a little bit more. And not only are they doing them, they're doing them really intentionally.
Yes.
Not passively. You're not a passenger on the erg for 80 minutes. You're like, was that a good stroke? Was that a good stroke?
Yeah.
Is my core getting weak? I'm 60 minutes in. This is the 3rd workout of the day. I did morning 22K in the double. I did a lift. This is 20K on the erg. I got 3K to go. Am I going to like let my core go, or am I going to keep sitting up and take good strokes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exhausting, by the way. That's exhausting.
It is exhausting. And I do think it's a switch of like, oh, I want to go erg over here because I don't want anyone to see my splits, or I'm going to pull harder like if someone's around, which again, like I think the first step is just doing the minutes, right? Like it has taken me a while to get here. And I'd say the same thing happened. Like I've always been good about doing workouts when I'm home for breaks. Ian, I don't know if he can say the same.
Oh, in college? Yeah. I'm not going to the Olympics.
No, I was saying in college. But I would just do the minutes. And it was like, whatever scores I see, it doesn't matter because I'm doing the minutes. And now I just do it at the same speeds I would be doing if I was having recorded workouts sitting in a room full of people.
I think the thing that maybe brought it home for me the most was in December, we went to see Amina in Brookline.
Mm-hmm.
Amina.
Very good.
Your teammate from Yale.
She just had her twins, yes.
She just had her twins. And Kristi, Amina was like, oh my God, how's the training going? And Kristi was being all humble and introverted and being like, good, we're doing a lot. And I was like, come on, like you literally just PR'd by like a split at 31 years old, like 15 years into your rowing career here. And Amina was like, you PR'd by a split? And I was like, she went 6:36. And Amina was like, you went 6:36? You PR'd by it? You're still PRing? Oh my God, I haven't looked at an erg since we graduated 9 years ago, whenever that was. And so like, I feel like that was really emotional. 9 years, sorry. Hey, good news. You won't be training for your during your tenure. You can go and have fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I feel like that was like a really salient moment, at least for me, to just like really wrap my head around like, wow, you're really pushing yourself and crushing yourself. So that all being said, I have a follow-up question, which is, do you feel more ready this time than last time? Like, not to say that you and Jevi weren't ready. Like, you made the A final, you were in it. You know what I mean? Like, clearly you were ready. But like, it's not like a physical thing. It's almost like a mental thing. Like, do you feel more ready?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, like, I actually did feel very prepared for everything in 2021. Like, even trials, I felt very ready. I felt like Jevi and Greg and everyone had a lot of faith and trust in me. Like, we were prepared. Jevi did a great job, like, talking about things, not in a showboaty way, but in a way that made it so that things weren't super surprising to me. And she like explained a lot of stuff. And that was honestly really helpful because I didn't feel super overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I will say, I almost think that COVID was a nice thing because it made it smaller. And I think that it would have been more overwhelming if it had been bigger, because like we've said many times, I'm a little bit closetly introverted, but I got
Sorry to blow up your spot.
Yeah, seriously. But I got to be in my bubble a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're nervous at every start line. The nerves never go away. And I was pretty freaking nervous at the Olympics, but it's also like you've been trusted to do this and your person that you're in your boat with is relying on you. And I just feel super lucky to have gotten to row with all of the incredible women that I've rowed with beyond just like Jevi and Sophia, you know, Lauren and Emily last year.
No, I imagine the like rowing was the easiest part because you're like, well, this is the thing I've been doing the most. It's all the other crap, you know?
Yeah. And that stuff like didn't even like, there wasn't even that much of it.
Right.
And I will say the other thing that I feel really grateful for is like, so we get a lot of PR, media attention, you know, everyone's like getting all this stuff. And first of all, obviously in Tokyo, Jevi was getting a ton of attention. She literally was like, had gotten a silver medal at the previous Olympics. She's pretty well known in the rowing world. I just felt like a hype woman. Like, I'm like, yeah, I get to row with her, you know, and I still feel like a hype woman for Jevi. Like, she's a rock star.
Also, you're a hype woman for Sophia. You like threw her to the wolves the other day with the like local news broadcast at Fenderson.
Yeah, and I love it. And like Molly and Michelle are getting stuff, and I'm like, yeah, like these women are awesome. So, and I just think that's the super cool thing about getting to train so much with everyone. Like, I feel like a hype woman. I don't feel jealous at all. Like, maybe if somebody, what's something I would feel jealous about? If some like if Union Square Donuts tried to sponsor somebody else, I would be like, oh, I thought they liked me. But like, then I'd be like, whatever, maybe I can get in on it too. You know, I don't know. I just feel like I don't really feel jealous about any of those things. I just feel like super excited, and it's all pushing rowing forward. And so that's the other thing that I think maybe some other people feel like some sort of way, why isn't this attention being given to me or whatever? Whereas I just like, honestly, very genuinely am like, That's so cool. I want to read every hometown news article that's being written about every person making the team because and like their parents are quoted. Like I want to see every parent's like watching their kid race. Like that's just so cool and so special.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Would you say are you feeling any more confident this time around than last time? Or would you say you're just as confident last time?
Well, I guess I feel more confident in that this has been a longer build and we've been on Yossi's plan for longer.
You've done 2 world championships together with Sophia.
Yes. I've done 2 world championships with Sophia. Like we've been doing the same training for years now. So we're on the same, our bodies have already experienced these cycles that we're on, like the training cycles. So we know how they'll adapt and all these things. But again, like I did not feel unprepared in Tokyo. It just was that we hadn't had as much time and I had been on a different plan than we were on. And
totally.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question on that. Your family will get to be there this time. How do you think that will be different or not different at all? I know you're fantastic at compartmentalizing, clicking into the zone. So like they're not going to be a distraction, but like obviously it's fantastic that they can go this time.
Yeah, no, it's so exciting. And I'm like super excited that my family is going to get to be there and that you're going to get to be there. But I'm not going to talk to anyone until after. I mean, I'll talk to you, but you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to get to do anything until racing is over. And that's, the way that it should be and everything. So I think that I will have happiness in knowing that everyone's there and watching, and that's so great, and getting to go and do all this cool Olympic stuff, and that when racing's over, I get to share that experience with people I love is awesome. But like until we race, I don't know how much it'll really affect me. I'm just really happy that other people get to experience it because it is so cool, and everyone's had to make sacrifices for me to achieve this stuff, and I'm happy that like we can all share in the experience.
I know that like Tokyo, they gave you a lot of like cool kit, and I'm just optimistic that you'll get something pretty sweet because I feel like Mama, your grandmother, Kristi's grandmother, known as Mama, will not be attending. It's a little too far for her to go on the flight. But from Tokyo, Mama has this like sick
Ralph Lauren suit,
top bottom like tracksuit. It's amazing. She wore it. I think Kristi told you guys all. She wore it to the Boys in the Boat when we all went in December to see Boys in the Boat. She wore it to the movie theater, and she's super proud of it. She like loves wearing it out, and so Mama needs like some fresh threads. So hopefully Paris hooks it up.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. Seriously. All right. Speed round of questions because I know we're running long, but I want to get some good content out for your producer to like split up, splice up, whatever. So
this is Ian's podcast now.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm taking over here. What are you looking forward to? You've trained in Mercer/Princeton before. So what are you looking forward to the most about returning to Mercer/Princeton? What are you looking forward to the least?
The most I'm looking forward to is next weekend when Ian has to drive his trailer back from Navy and I get to see him. Yay! No,
that
actually,
was cheesy, but I like it.
But in actuality, well, I am very much looking forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to the additional 750 meters that you get to row in the little loop of Mercer that's over 2K, so that I don't just have to turn every 2K.
What are you looking forward to the least?
Princeton in general can be a little bit isolating. There's not a ton going on there. I've had trouble there in the past, not feeling a little bit like just caged in. So we stay at the Residence Inn, and it's right next to a mall with a movie theater. So I try to go hot girl walk laps in the mall and go to the movies a bunch to keep myself.
Heck yeah. Okay. This is a funny one. Given the number of times that you have moved in the last 5 months, you moved from Saratoga to Georgia, then to Sarasota, then to Colorado, then back to Sarasota. Now, and then in Sarasota, you were at your
hotel,
like
Airbnb,
hotel,
Airbnb, family
right now. Yep. So like even within, that's like 5 times just down there. Now you have to drive back to Princeton.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you are a more professional mover, and like gentle giant movers here in Boston should look out when you move back here? Or are you a better rower still?
First of all, I blame you for my overpacking. I definitely overpacked.
I told you were overpacking when you were packing in Saratoga.
I've definitely become a good packer. So I'd say I'm still probably a better rower than I am mover, but it's a close second.
Okay, speed round continues. Caitlin Clarke had a good run.
She's not done yet?
Well, I'm saying college is over for her. Yep. She lost the national championship, I think the second year in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa's team lost the national championship.
Yes.
They lost to whoever last year, South Carolina this year.
Lost to
LSU last year, who they avenged. South Carolina, who they beat last year, they lost to this year.
Mm-hmm.
She had, as Diana Taurasi was saying, like she had like over 30 points, and it was like a quiet 30, which is pretty crazy. Like that's how good she is. Like she scored north of 30 points, and everyone was just like, didn't have a big impact. Anyway, so Caitlin Clarke, what are your thoughts? I thought that Dawn Staley, is that her name? Dawn Staley, the South Carolina coach, had unreal, unscripted moment during the trophy ceremony where she was like, just want to shout out all the players in the tournament, all the teams, everyone did great, but like Caitlin Clarke, and this is the line that got me, I'm going to paraphrase it. She was like, Caitlin Clarke carried our sport forward alone. And I can't imagine how hard that was on top of playing, being a good teammate, being a good student. I just thought that was a really classy moment and just like so aware. Like Dawn Staley is so aware of how brutal that must have been. Because I feel like Caitlin alluded to it at times in interviews where she was like, she broke the 3-point record and she was like, I don't care. I just want this to stop. I want this to be over. Like, I just want to get to the NCAA tournament and play the games.
Yeah. I think it's pretty incredible what she's done. I can't imagine how it feels to be her because you're right. She is truly carrying a sport and doing a fantastic job of it. And I give her so many props because I also think that she has been just so thoughtful and smart in her like branding and who she has on her like social media and partnerships and all these things team. Because
it's funny that you think she's like intentionally acting that way. I guess I would have given her the benefit of that to just be like, that's just who Caitlin Clarke is. She's just like, humble every girl from Iowa. She's not from Iowa, but you know what I mean.
I think it's definitely been intentional.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely been intentional. Not that she's not like a nice, humble girl. I think that she probably is. Yeah. She also seems like a fierce and ferocious competitor, which I have like so much respect for.
I know somebody like that.
Yeah. And I think that that's really awesome because I think it's really cool that she can be this like really awesome force on the court and like still a role model off the court, and she can be fighting for what she wants. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens because she's going to get drafted into the WNBA. She's been invited to like the Olympic camp or whatever, tryouts.
Yeah. Cool.
It's going to be interesting to see like, because there have been not at her level, but stars before, and kind of in the WNBA, they don't have the same level of success, quote unquote. I don't know, but it's just so, I mean, the past few years, honestly, it's been like decades, right? Because like the Williams sisters, we can't forget, there have been so many female athletes that are like elevating female sports. So many people needed to play a part in our society being ready for this moment with Caitlin Clarke, which I think is like really important for people to remember. And even women's March Madness has been growing, and like the teams and the players and all these people have been fighting for us to have this moment so that a star like Caitlin Clarke can shine, and so that people can be tuning in a way that they're not tuning into the men's tournament. And honestly, like that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter that the women's tournament is more exciting than the men's tournament sometimes. And sometimes the men's tournament will be more exciting than the women's tournament. Who cares, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's
totally.
what the cool thing about the past decade or so has been.
Right. It's going to be so great when it's not news that LeBron James says the star power is on the women's side.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be news. Like, that shouldn't even be asked as a question. It'll just be like, are you excited for the game, LeBron? And he's like, hell yeah. Love basketball. Two great teams.
I agree. And it shouldn't be news that little boys want a Caitlin Clarke jersey. Like, it was never
Totally.
news that I wanted a Nomar Garcia-Parra jersey. That was just fine.
I mean, it was news to me. Like, no, I wanted a Nomar Garcia-Parra jersey. I was like, Mom, birthday.
I know.
God, I did get it. Thank you, Mom.
Yes, I got one too. Thank you, Mom, as well. But you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It shouldn't.
I was just joking.
If female athletes have male role models, why can't male kid or whatever young girls have male athlete role models? Why can't young boys have female athlete role models? Like,
totally.
But I think that she's awesome, and I think there's the super cool thing about like records and world records and points records and all these things. Like once they're broke, it's like floodgates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this star on USC, this freshman, what's her name, Juju Watkins or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
She like maybe is on track to score more points than Caitlin. You know, it's right. Like once somebody does it, then it's easy for other people to do. And I think that's
speaking of like our boy Tom Brady, not to take it away from women, but like Tom Brady just won 7 Super Bowls. Like his last one was in 2021 February, and like almost immediately it was like Patrick Mahomes is going to win 8. Yeah. And you're like, Tom just won 7. Everyone cool down. Okay. It's hard to do. But I think you're right. Like the second it's done, it recalibrates everybody's brains. You know, bringing this back to rowing is like the second 6 minutes got broken, everyone was doing it. The second 550, 540 or on the women's side, like 7 minutes, 650, 640, 630. Some woman is going to break, maybe it's you, is going to break 620 on the erg one day for 2K. And the second like somebody breaks 620, like boom, floodgates open. Yeah, I think you're totally right. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out that at the last weekend of April, Kristi and I will also get to see each other in New Haven because it is the 50th anniversary of Yale Women's Crew.
Yes. Well, hopefully I can go, but yes.
Maybe people know this, maybe they don't, but it was Yale Women's Crew that kind of got the Title IX ball rolling and got women's sports equal investment from their athletic departments.
Yes. If people don't know, they should go watch A Hero for Daisy and learn all about it.
A Hero for Daisy. There we go. Cool. Last, I know we're way over time, but just content. We're already so deep. Why not just keep going? I love talking to you. You know that.
I know.
It's not even your bedtime yet. It's 8:39.
I haven't had my cookie yet.
Oh my God. Well, you know, self-care can wait. The Dynasty, we finally finished The Dynasty on Apple TV about the Patriots' 20-year dynasty with Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady. How do you feel about it? We finished it. It was a great trip down memory lane. It was clearly a hit job on Bill Belichick, with the last episode weirdly trying to like patch that up all of a sudden and be like, actually, Bill was really good. But how is it sitting with you? What are your takeaways?
I'd say first takeaway was like kind of a crazy hit job on Bill Belichick. Totally like don't agree. Don't even think that players agree. I mean, you were the one telling me, right, that like players were coming out saying, wait, we loved playing for Bill. Like
we're the players we are, or were. Yeah. We achieved what we achieved because of Bill.
That aside, it definitely had me in my feels a bit. Yeah. I'm sure for you as well.
Yeah. Yep.
I really do think that growing up at the time, you know, 90s, early 2000s in Boston, like it just showed me, not that I don't also have female athletic role models, but I think it just showed me like anything is possible. And it doesn't matter where you start, and it doesn't matter how your season's going. It doesn't matter how the game is going. Like if you believe and you have good people on your team, anything is possible. Don't know if I've told you this, but in 2021, I was literally talking to Dr. G, my sports psych, before Olympic Trials 1. We were just talking about like, you know, different things, and we sort of happened upon Julian Edelman saying to Tom Brady, or saying to the team, like when they were losing to the Falcons, this is going to be the greatest comeback ever.
Gonna be a hell of a story.
Gonna be a hell of a story. And Dr. G and I were talking about it, and he was like, just remember that, you know, in a race, like it's never over. And literally in the semi of Olympic Trials 1 in the single, I was down. And I remember thinking like, people are going to remember this second 1K, and people like, this is going to be like a hell of a like comeback and a hell of a sprint. And I sprinted through and like made the final. And really that's like what put me on the path to make the Olympic team. I mean, there were many more steps, but and I just think it's so cool that literally like being a Boston sports fan is something that I thought about in that moment. Like, that's just so cool.
Perfect. Well, no, I like that it tied back into the Olympics. So I feel like that's a great note to end things on. I don't know if you have any final thoughts. You have to do your quote of the day. Quote of the week,
gosh,
whatever.
I didn't think of one. Do you have any good quotes?
Do I have any good quotes? Kristi, last time I was on, quoted from this book, Once a Runner, which I love. I gave to Kristi, and I highly recommend everybody else to read. And the chapter that she quoted from was like chapter 6, Bruce Denton. And he's the like local running legend. Basically, the chapter is about why Bruce is a legend and what working out with him is like, and you know, why he's the man and why they should do whatever Bruce does. And the last line of the chapter is, and tucked away in his home office in the bottom drawer of his desk, still in its case, is an Olympic gold medal.
Boom.
And so I like that quote just because it's like, Bruce doesn't care about the medal.
No, and that's kind of the crazy thing. It's all about the medal, and none of it's about the medal. Like, all at the same time.
Look at that. Off the cuff.
Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much to everyone for listening. Really appreciate it. And I hope that everyone has a really great week. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
I'd love to hear from you. So send us a topic suggestion, or if you'd like to submit a question for our Ask Kristi Anything segment, head to our website, theother3years.com.